Hello everyone and welcome to AUTTO, Business Workflow Automation for SMEs. Today's webinar introduces our partner program. So our objective today is to give you a taster of AUTTO, give you some basic information on the partner program, and hopefully you'll be interested enough to take things further forward. Just give you the agenda. I'm going to talk for about 20 minutes and then we'll take some questions at the end. The topics I want to cover are why now is the time for workflow automation. I won't be doing a product demo, but I want to give you an overview of AUTTO, try and differentiate it from other products in the market, explain why we think this is a really great opportunity to partner with us, and go through the benefits of doing that. And finally, if we've whetted your appetite, some steps to progress things forward. So I guess the question is, why is now a good time for workflow automation? Well, I guess this is another way of having the paperless office. But if you think about things, data volumes are just ever increasing. The COVID pandemic, combined with working from home, and the ever increasing amount of regulation and compliance are all driving organizations to become more efficient and to automate their back office processes as much as they possibly can. A well-cited report from McKinsey looks at the opportunities to improve productivity through technology. Now, I've concluded that the easiest place to start is looking at digitization and automation. So what is workflow automation? Well, I'll start by saying what it's not. It is not RPA as far as we're concerned. So RPA, if you're not familiar, is robotic process automation. And this is when technology pretends to be a user. It drives existing applications. So it stuffs information into web pages and screens. We're not that, and for good reason. We think it is expensive and complicated to implement. And also you end up with systems which can be very unstable and at best can create a maintenance headache. So AUTTO, these are some of the attributes that we think are important. The ability primarily to automate and standardize routine business processes, along the way gathering information and then acting on that information, involving people in the process when we need them to do something or approve something, track where workflow is, including for auditing purposes, who started a workflow, when, where is it, what inputs have they provided. Because of our legal background, we're very strong on creating automated documents. So this is generating ones which are specific for this workflow, approving them, and then digitally signing if required. And critically, storing this information across multiple systems. So AUTTO is very much about people-centric workflow. And what we're trying to achieve is to eliminate repetitive manual work. So what sort of problems is AUTTO suited to? Well, the classic one is there's just too much to do. So how can AUTTO help? So we're trying to replace people's time with technology. And we quite often see a very significant uplift in productivity. We cite 75%, and there are various studies that will substantiate that. Another problem is getting people to follow the right process consistently. Well, if there's a workflow that defines the business process, you've got no choice but to follow it. And lastly, it's difficult to digitize. AUTTO is a so-called no-code platform. And what that means is that it's possible to automate processes very quickly compared with other solutions. What use cases is AUTTO best suited for? Well, actually, a surprisingly large number. We tend to categorize them into knowledge, logistics, and documents. If we start with documents, a good one could be you're signing up a customer for a support contract, and you have to incorporate into the agreement the things that you're supporting, the specific SLAs, and so on. Another one could be logging a quality non-compliance issue. In terms of knowledge, say in the legal profession, there are very specific processes that a legal firm will need to go through before onboarding a client. So the more you look into it, the more use cases that you will find. And because AUTTO is very well priced, a surprisingly large number of business processes becomes within scope that with more expensive systems, probably there will be no business case for doing it. I thought to take a break from me talking, it might be interesting to hear something from a recent AUTTO user, and this is an interview done by Artificial Lawyer TV.
Hi everybody, Richard Tromans here at Artificial Lawyer TV. Today we're doing a special. We're looking at Burgess Salmon, the well-known UK law firm, and its use of AUTTO, the automation workflow system. First up is Alex. Could you tell us a bit about yourself?
I'm Alex Knowles-Smith. I'm a newly qualified solicitor in the Pensions Department at Burgess Salmon.
So, where did you first come across AUTTO? How did you get involved with it?
During my training contract, I spent 4 months in our in-house legal technology and innovation team doing a sort of internal secondment. We had a partnership with Wragg in which we had access to the platform. I developed a prototype for an application that would allow a client to input factual information to a workflow and automatically generate a non-disclosure agreement or NDA in response to that factual information. A user without any legal training could navigate the workflow, input their particular factual information, and my program automatically generated a legally watertight NDA in response.
When you saw no-code automation, what were you expecting?
The way that programming applications from scratch, of course, requires considerable skill and coding experience. So I had thought that a no-code platform, which allows someone without any coding experience whatsoever to build applications, would necessarily have a very basic output. So I was quite impressed by using it, by how sophisticated the platform actually is, allowing users to build quite complex integrations. So I was surprised that a user with no coding experience at all, like me, can build actually quite complex applications on the platform in a short amount of time. Lawyers should be curious and interested in AUTTO and other no-code automation platforms for a few reasons. First, I think that they're very useful for the time-saving potential for lawyers, which can translate directly into cost savings for clients. Beyond that, it's also quite interesting to use. It's cognitively challenging and, dare I say, even quite fun to take your legal expertise and marry that up with program design to build a fully automated system effectively to do your job for you as a lawyer. And finally, I would say it may well be the future. I don't think it's too far-fetched to conceive of a future in which professionals across different professional services industries are empowered to design their own applications and automate aspects of their role.
Okay. So some other comments from some of our customers. WI5 is an interesting one. So this is a no download, no registration app for ordering drinks and food in restaurants. And when they get a new customer, there's a number of legal documents that they have to get signed off and approved. And that's certainly a great use case there. And FinTrail are a anti-financial services fraud group, quite a large number of members. I think they've got around 100 members now, and they use it to sign up new customers. So I think now it'll be useful to have a quick look at AUTTO itself. And on the right hand side here, you see our process editor. And what this involves is linking together a number of actions, and the left hand column shows you the actions and the centerpiece shows you how they link together. So the actions could be logic, decisions in the process, forms to capture data, web pages, calculations, sending emails with parts of the workflow or documents within them, data tables, and creating documents based on information that's been captured in the workflow. This example here is showing a simple form, and the right hand side is shows you how we have created questions. The questions are presented on the screen. As you'd expect, there's a certain amount of validation, and then they are put into, we call them square brackets, that can be referenced throughout this workflow and sub-workflows. It really is important to understand that AUTTO really does exploit integration with other systems. So this is about connecting workflows through a number of our built-in smart integrations, so Slack, EverSign for electronic signature, Stripe for taking payments, and various storage options, OneDrive and Dropbox, for example. We also have an API manager, which allows you to interface into existing RESTful systems if we don't have it as one of our standard integrations. And we also have done a lot of work around authentication. We support two standards: OAuth, which is really a way to get access to protected data without asking users to log in with passwords, and SAML, which is the XML standard, which transfers identity between two parties. So typically used in single sign-on operations. It also supports integration with Microsoft Azure Active Directory. We say that AUTTO is designed for SMEs. So why do we think that? Well, for big reasons. Firstly, pricing. It's not per seat, it's usage based. So effectively, how complex and how often do you run the workflows? You can deploy workflows really fast. 1 to 2 weeks is what we would expect, sometimes considerably shorter. It doesn't need IT experts. It needs someone who understands the process, of course, and maybe somebody who is familiar with introducing technology into a business. And it's right-sized in terms of the features. It's got enough to do meaningful work, but not so many complex operations that it makes it mind-bogglingly difficult to use. So we think AUTTO is a really great proposition for a partner. If we pick out 3 reasons, I think to begin with, this is a good way to differentiate from competitors. Quite a few partners we expect will be managed service providers. Quite a lot of what they're doing will be selling commoditized products, albeit maybe in vertical sectors and so on. And this is a way of demonstrating bringing additional value to a relationship. And it's probably something that, and we're anticipating primarily SME end users, that they may well have not considered before. Second thing is, this is a good way to bring in some high margin professional services revenue with a fairly soft entry. This doesn't require you to invest in a big dev team. Probably for a lot of people, one person could be the expert on AUTTO, and that's all you'll need. So that's one side. And of course, if you resell AUTTO, which is a SaaS product typically on a monthly subscription, we will give you obviously a percentage of that. So this is a good way to create some annuity income. And we think this is a good way to help reduce customer churn. Why do we think that? Well, if you are the company which has helped an organization improve their processes, designed and developed them for them, and then went on to support them, you've got more stickiness. Someone coming in to unseat you is probably not going to want to pick all that support up. So there's 3 good reasons why we think this is a good partner proposition. It's also extremely partner friendly. So the left-hand column here shows the benefits for a partner, and the right-hand side, if you like, is the financial side. So the asterisks are new service lines delivered by a partner. So training, obviously you can charge whatever you feel is appropriate. We will give you the collateral and training resources at no cost. Workflow development, again, the implementation is whatever you charge is what you get. We'll provide pre and post sales support, helping you through that. And then longer term, this is something which could be added to existing customer support agreements, and we'll provide 3rd line support to you at no extra price. In terms of the monthly subscription, we put partners in charge of the billing. So you recognize 100% of the AUTTO monthly fee, then you essentially buy that at a wholesale price, 35% discount against a published list price. We don't taper that, so as long as you keep a customer, you keep getting the 35% forever. We deliver and in fact require you to do some sales and technical training delivered online. There's no fee for that. And of course you get an internal use license. You can use it for your own processes, and of course you can use it as a demonstration platform. So if any of this has looked interesting, and hopefully it has, what are the next steps? Well, we would recommend, next thing is to do an in-depth product demo. We'll show you some workflows and then show you how they've been built behind the scenes. If you're still interested, and I'm sure you will be, let's work together to see, actually, we've got a mutual business case. So let's size the opportunity in the base. We've got some cash flow tools to help you look at the business case there, and then try it with a few key customers, see what they think. If we're still on track, then it's into some sales training and some technical training, build an in-house workflow. We'll audit that. We want to make sure that you're doing things right and we both come out with good customer solutions, and then we launch. Obviously, how you do that is up to you, but we would expect AUTTO going into some of your propositions, and we're going to be there with you. We'll give you pre-sales, post-sales support, and then review how successful the relationship is going. Okay, my contact details are on the screen here, but now we'll go and take some questions. We've got some good questions come in. I'll start with the first one. So this one is, typically, how much effort does it take a new partner to complete sales, technical and other onboarding activities until we can be ready to sell? That's a great question. So the sales and technical training, typically we'd expect one person to do the technical training. The training itself can be done within a day, but then we'd expect a couple of days of experimentation and practicing. Sales training, again, can be done in half a day, so that's receiving our content. The next step will be to use our sales collateral and build that into your own material. That could take us 1 hour, 1 week, who knows. Probably the most time-consuming thing is that we want you, and in fact would require you, to build an AUTTO workflow that actually shows off a number of the features. Partly that is a way to reinforce the training. It also can provide a demonstration platform, but it's really the only way that you're going to get to understand the product in more detail. When you've done that exercise, we'll review it with you. It's almost a quality control step. Now, probably to build something meaningful as a first-time user, you might be able to do it in a day, but I'd probably allocate 5 days. So in summary, I would say plan for 10 to 15 person days to get up and running. And the next question is, I know you release new features almost on a continuous basis. We do, that's what our website says, and indeed what we do. How much ongoing training could I anticipate after the initial onboarding, say over a year, to stay current? Well, I mean, once you're up to speed with AUTTO, assimilating new features is pretty straightforward. So I would anticipate, and we're planning on doing a short quarterly webinar to go through the features. So looking at that and understanding the implications, it might take a day or two of effort a year, I guess, if you added it all up together. Next question is, let's say a deal requires AUTTO to be integrated with an application that you do not currently support. Would you do a custom integration for us? Well, the answer is probably. I mean, it depends on the business case. Is the customer going to pay? Do we think it's a gap in the functionality that would be sensible for us to address? We do have an API manager that can enable us to integrate with systems that are not supported through our smart out-of-the-box integrations in any case. And that's something that we'll probably end up working with you to do. Probably the trickiest part of the product is around the technical side of integration. So the answer is yes, but would want to discuss it. Does it make sense for both of us from a commercial perspective? And the last one is, who are the common competitors we as resellers might encounter? That's a great question. I guess this partly comes down to what's a competitor. And at first sight, there are thousands of workflow products, document management products, forms capture products, and so on. But something like AUTTO that actually runs the process that is specifically aimed at SMEs really narrows the field down. And there's probably only two or three. I mean, the one that most often you'll come across is Microsoft Power Automate. Now, it's not really a competitor. It's more of an RPA tool with some AI and quite a lot of complexity. It looks like it's simple, the way that you build the workflows, but when you start getting into it, it's debatable whether an end user is going to be able to handle